Doghouse Racing League is proud to be sponsored by Shoney's. Shoney's is today's all-American kitchen, open daily for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Shoney's guests can count on quality, delicious food along with warm, friendly service. Stop by one of the West Virginia locations to try their freshly prepared legendary breakfast bars. And don't forget to take home a whole strawberry pie. Shoney's, delicious food and friendly service since 1947. Are you looking for sports merchandise for your favorite teams, apparel, jerseys, headwear, hard goods, and looking to be involved with NASCAR? Fanatics is your one-stop shop. Fanatics is partnered up with all major professional sports leagues, as well as hundreds of collegiates and pro teams. Join them now at Fanatics. And if you use the link down below in the description, you'll be able to help out the Doghouse Racing League. While using that link, all commissions go to the Doghouse Racing League, which helps fund prizes and goods for the drivers out on track. Thank you so much for Fanatics, and enjoy the show! Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Thursday night. Tonight, we take our sights to Phoenix Raceway for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. It's Season 1 for 2024, just race number 5, and the field has had a wide range of different tracks that they're attempting to handle, but this evening, it's going to be a fun one to watch to see how and who could maybe topple Jonathan Jennings, who looks to be the main favorite. But for tonight's race, we get ourselves prepared for the Engine 4 Coffee 135 here at Phoenix. If you've been watching us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we've been seeing a lot of Legacy Phoenix this week, but it's time for us to go to what is current open dog leg, and it means that we're going to be seeing a lot of side-by-side racing, some shortcuts, and who could hold on to these next-gen beasts on this track. Again, welcome to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up in the booth is going to be Zach Hall. And Zach, moving away from Las Vegas and also Atlanta, now we find ourselves here at Phoenix. A lot of Phoenix this week. I know you raced it last night. You also found yourself commentating on Monday, but now we get to watch our third and final one of the week.
Yeah, wild stuff for sure, Sam, to have 3 Phoenixes and 2 different versions of it too. So, we get to see the new version here tonight with that dog leg, that, added banking, and also the move of the start-finish line. More importantly, that's going to create wild restarts that I think all night could have us on the edge of our seat because, we saw back at Iowa, it was a wild race there. We've seen drivers who had, really fast cars that fell off as the end of the runs go on. So I'm interested to see if some of that kind of carries over to Phoenix here tonight, where kind of a similar racetrack, but also a little bit different. So, we've seen it's been tough to pass here in the past. We'll see tonight if those open setups will make the biggest difference.
There's been just one driver of dominance when we come to Phoenix here for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, and that is Jonathan Jennings. Jennings has taken the pole award and has led the most laps at every Phoenix race ever in the Shoney's race car in the Cup Series, and he's won 3 out of 5 races that have been ran there. Let's see, though, if tonight he can grab his 6th and continue on with the trend as we go down to trackside. Into the 91, it's hitting the track to see if he can get the pole, but there's plenty of other contenders that are out there that look to be favorites. We always know Twisted Axle's been on fire this season. They've been the true contenders to try to stop the reigning and defending champion. But Zach, Jonathan Jennings, it's looking like he's going to go for another pole this season, and maybe a win is waiting in the wings for him.
Very fast in practice for sure for Jennings. I mean, he had 600s on the field, so to say. So definitely looking quick in the 91. I expect him to put up some fast times. As seems like they got his car dialed in, so to say, for sure. And the thing that I look at the most, though, Sam, is as we head here into qualifying, I think this qualifying is going to be very, very important. But we saw Iowa where the Twisted Axle group, such as like Andrew St. Cyr, Kevin Thompson, they all dropped back early in that race, really fell back, conserved the tires, and were able to run up through the field. I'm interested to see if that will be a case here back tonight, or or are we going to see much more of a track position race as the times start to click in here and drivers looking for that track position? Right now, Justin McMahon up on top of the board.
Justin McMahon, the one driver that beat Jonathan Jennings for the first time back in 2023 season 1, hoping to get another victory in his first of the season for the 24 as more times clock across the board. Jonathan Jennings, though, takes advantage back to the top spot, but who else can maybe topple that top position as Wilkerson moves up to second and Justin McMahon not able to advance on speed. It's Jennings that stays on top for now. But like you said, the twist axle drivers, but looking at the past stats, they have always been the second best to Jennings. When you look at the drivers that have led the most laps, and then right below Jennings, we'll see if anyone else could find that extra speed as Christopher Norris moves up to second. David Halsey, who's been very good at qualifying the last couple of weeks, going to be moved up to fourth. But third place currently now, it's Michael Hayes, the points leader. That driver looks quick as he has continued to be so consistent this season in the 22.
He really has been, man. He has been on it. And Hayes, I mean, even I look back to someone like Iowa where he got involved in an incident really early there, got stranded out back, and still fought his way to the front. So don't count the 22 out. He's going to be a factor all night for sure. Like I said, he's the points leader, but let's see what the 99 Jonathan Smith here can produce, because he had some pretty quick times here. Sam, I know he didn't get the race this past week, but back here at the racetrack, I think Smith looks like he may have built him a good setup this week.
And Jonathan Smith, based off of practice, was bouncing back and forth between himself and Jennings on who was going to be the fastest driver during that practice session. But for qualifying, this is going to be the first lap for the 99. Hoping to take the top of the board, at least set up in the top 5 if possible. And another driver that's out there on practice going to be Andrew St. Cours as well as Kevin Thompson. They're starting up their qualifying times. As Smith going to be 5th fastest after his first time. Kevin Thompson about to be starting his first lap as the formation is done. 1.5 minutes left in qualifying. Plenty of time to put 2 laps down for the 6 machine, but that's as long as he doesn't make a mistake during lap 1 or 2.
That's right. If you make a mistake, you have to reset. You're going to be going back to pit road. As now St. Cours going to jump up the 12 or second on the board, sorry, in the 12 machine. And we'll see Jonathan Smith did not find the pickup that he wanted. He'll stick to 6th. But let's see what Kevin Thompson has here. He'll be coming around to complete that first lap, but the second lap has been the money one. 27.026. That jumps up to 9th. So good first starting lap here. But let's see if the speed really comes out of the 6 here on this lap.
Trying to carry the speed through 1 and 2 for Kevin Thompson. One of the last drivers to put down a time is this 6 machine. Going to be 3/10, almost 4/10 off the leader after that first lap, hoping for a big pickup. St. Cours was a 10th off. Kevin Thompson trying to beat his teammate and maybe steal the pole award, but it doesn't look to be fast enough. 5th fastest for Kevin Thompson, our winner from Atlanta this season. And for Thompson, still a good qualifying time, but you look at the speed difference, Zach, it is a completely different level from first to the rest of the field.
It really is. I mean, I look at that gap from first to second between Jennings and St. Cours. That gap is about the same from second to about 8th, almost even 9th. So that just shows you how great a lap Jennings got in. It's going to be interesting once we get into race trim. What's that 91 going to have, and what will the 12 have for him also?
Under the lights, the field is set and ready for some amazing racing action. But the drivers will have a 5-minute warm-up time to get any last practice in, see where their pit stall is going to be for this race. It also enables us to take a look at the point standings and the schedule for this season moving forward. As we take a look at the point standings coming into tonight, it's Michael Hayes with a 16-point advantage over Jonathan Jennings after Jennings' win last week. Able to move up a spot is going to be the 91 machine, but looking at the field as a whole, Zach, I mean, there are a lot of drivers that are hoping for a good run. There's no playoffs for this field. It is all about a consistency through the whole entire season. And currently, Michael Hayes has been the most consistent driver. But you look at where the field is at, and we're already starting to see a pretty big split up from our top 4 to Kevin Thompson and Justin McMahon, who need to step up and close in the gap. But they're using the old NASCAR point system. They're not completely out of reach just yet.
No, not out of reach completely. Like you said, I mean, that old NASCAR point system, you can really get tons of points quickly and lose a ton of points also. So it goes kind of both ways with that. So definitely got to stay consistent. And I think that's what this format will do more than anything is just going to take the driver that's the most consistent. And personally, that's what Michael Hayes has been so far. He's just been the most consistent driver. Jennings has been, I would say, the top, guy to beat, of course, but Hayes definitely has been very, very consistent. And with how this point standings is, and throughout the whole season, running out a full season like this, that is very much the key. It's not about getting those wins all the time. It's about always finishing up in that top 5 and top 10.
Moving up and down through the points, drivers are hoping for a better run, but they still have a tough schedule in front of them. As take a look at the upcoming schedule for these drivers. Tonight, again, going to be here at Phoenix, but next week the drivers try to tackle Auto Club before they take a week break off, and then they're back to they're actually going to be taking a 2-week break, after Auto Club. We'll be coming back in the middle of April for Bristol, Texas, Richmond. It's another tough couple of tracks that we're heading towards, with 2 major short tracks, and then heading to Texas, which here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, Texas is probably one of my favorite tracks for us to broadcast.
It just always seems like Texas, something crazy does happen to Freaky Fast. Trust me, I've been a part of it in the booth, been a part of it in the racetrack, so I know exactly what you're talking about there, Sam. And I'm excited for the schedule personally. I mean, we've got a great schedule ahead of us. I'm very, very curious when we get to Bristol. I just want to see how that race is going to be there. It's been very good, clean short track racing here so far. So if we can get those long green runs at Bristol, I think that's going to be a very fun race to watch. But yeah, definitely a great one there, Texas. Then also we'll have Talladega there in the middle of May. So that'll be a fun time.
Drivers are ready for tonight's race. Going to be 2 minutes left in a warm-up. Just want to give a quick shout-out to some of the amazing sponsors helping out here for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. First things first is the title sponsor of Shoney's. You heard about it if you joined right when the broadcast started, but Shoney's is a great all-American kitchen to go to if you'd like to get some delicious food with high-quality, delicious food along with warm, friendly service. Go stop on by one of the West Virginia locations for their freshly prepared legendary breakfast bar, as well as amazing other food to try out. Shoney's, delicious food and friendly service since 1947. Also want to give a huge shout out to Group 6. Group 6 has partnered up with the Doghouse Racing League. Rev up your brand's potential with Group 6 at every turn of the Doghouse Racing season. As your creative marketing powerhouse, we are here to fuel your success, accelerate your impact, and steer your brand towards victory. Group 6, where every race is an opportunity to outshine and outperform. Discover more at group6inc.com. And also want to say thank you to Fanatics with affiliation with the Doghouse Racing League. Go get your merchandise at Fanatics. If you're a sporting fan, go get your sporting team apparel, jersey, hardware as well, headwear and hard goods at Fanatics. They are partnered up with almost all professional sporting leagues, as well as hundreds of collegiate sports, and also huge with the global soccer clubs. Doghouse Racing League earns commissions when you purchase through the link down in the description, and those commissions help out fund the league in all the different ways, from helping the Doghouse Racing League to have us as your broadcast team, as well as giving prizes. So remember to use the link down in the description for Fanatics to get your goods if going to a sporting event. Warm-up session's about to be concluded here. Thank you so much for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. If it's your first time joining with us, well, welcome to our broadcast channel. We'd love for you to subscribe, hit that like button, comment who you're rooting for, who is the driver or team that you want to see in victory lane here tonight. And joining me up at the booth, as always, is Zach Hall on Thursday nights and Robert Moyer Jr. as the field is gritting up, getting prepared for 135 laps here tonight for the Engine 4 Coffee 135. Let's take a look at the drivers and where they qualified here this evening. Jonathan Jennings grabbing his 3rd pole of the season, the 91, second in points, but man, is he on a run, trying to go for his 3rd win this season, starting in that 1st position. Andrew St. Cour, last driver to win this race last season, starting in 2nd position. Christopher Norris in the 83, going to be starting in 3rd. Your points leader coming into tonight's race is the 22 Michael Hayes in 4th place. Kevin Thompson going to be starting in 5th, our Atlanta winner of this season. David Halsey, another great qualifying run, but he needs to stay consistently up front and avoid early issues for that 57. Jonathan Smith. Great practice times. Maybe the qualifying was hoped for a little bit more in 7th. 8th is Jamie Horn. 9th goes to Steve Gerber. And finishing out our top 10, it's Daniel Wilkerson in the 78.
Starting 11th, it's the 24 car of Justin McMahon. Starting in 12th, it's going to be the 82 of Matthew Campbell. 13th is going to go to the 42 of Leroy Kovalets. 14th position here is going to be the 43 of Eric Anderson. 15th in qualifying is going to be Eric Warman, with 16th in qualifying going to Gary Clune. 17th is going to be the 58 of Nicholas Schnell, with 18th going to Gary Armio. 19th is going to be Nicholas Atwood, and rounding out our top 20 is the 51 of Joe McKnight.
21st position, we find the 8 machine of Chris Leftwich. 22nd place is the 27 of Christopher Simon. Adam Gardner, a Daytona winner, dominator for the first race of the season. Going to be starting all the way back in 23rd position. Mark Dumont in the 14, starting in 24th. Raymond Hanneman going to be starting in 25th in the 38th. Andy Cork in 26th, with Harrison Whitehead in 27th. Michael Menchaca going to be starting in 28th. Tony Martin in 29th. Stephen Bonomo going to be starting in 30th. And Eddie Rivers going to be our 31st driver starting here tonight. 31 hope to take the green. But up front, it's going to be Jonathan Jennings in that 91. Tonight's race is going to be 135 laps, no stage break, no fast repairs, and only 3 sets of extra tires in pit road to work with. So this field's got to be thinking about strategy calls on when to come into pit road, when to use those sets of tires, if we get a lot of cautions. The last 2 races have been longer races than the first 3 initial runs. We've had anywhere from 6 to 5 cautions, and Zach, those timing of the cautions can influence this race so much.
They really, really can, Sam. It can change up how all this plays out, because right now, 135 lap race, we're not going to make it to the end of this race with 1 stop. So we only need 2 stops to make it. So if a caution comes out, that switches things up big time here as we take the long restart zone here down to turn 3 and 4.
If you've been watching us all throughout this week on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, you've been looking at Legacy Phoenix. Tonight, it's the current configuration. The front straightaway is at a different spot. The dog leg is open. Green flag is out in the air. And it's time for us to get rolling as all drivers duck down onto the dog leg. And it's going to be Jonathan Jennings, St. Cour, Christopher Norris, all roaring down into turn number 1.
St. Cour fighting strong on the outside, and he had an excellent restart here on this initial green, and this is going to be critical here. Can Jennings get the tires fired up? He couldn't, Jennings did, but it was St. Cour who couldn't get the tires fired up off of turn number 2 there, and now into 3 and 4. Christopher Norris going to look to the inside here, coming to complete lap 1.
Looking to be Jonathan Jennings leading lap 1. Norris up to second. Trouble though behind. It's going to be issues for Jamie Horn, who's going to get some major front end damage for the 98, who falls all the way down to 29th position. More drivers about to be showing to break loose. That's going to be Henneman, who's going to get sideways. Other drivers spinning around, and our first caution breaks out in lap 2, and more just continue to pile in late. These vehicles were loose, they're out of hand, and they're almost still wrecking into one another.
Mayhem breaking out here in the middle of 1 and 2 here on lap number 2 of this race. And whew, Sam, that was a huge hit for a few guys, and it's going to be some required damage flags for at least 2 out there, the 34 and 36. It's looking like as we'll go back and look and see how this played out here, Sam. But this is going to definitely hurt a few cars here already early in this race without a fast repair.
And you're going to see these drivers try to go down using the dog leg to move forward. Already was the issues for Horn, who had his own cell spin, but down onto the apron. That's not where the car feels the most comfortable. Henneman's going to be getting himself loose. Snaps right in front of the field, gets into Tony Martin, and then Martin, just helpless, moves right back into the rest of the field as Horn goes for another spill. That's going to be the 36 of Whitehead. Menchaca had to slow down, but here's the helpless feeling for the 2 machine of Tony Martin, just riding in the back, taking it easy. And even when you're in the back, it's still not a safe place here at Phoenix. Anywhere you can find issue as he goes by Horn, seeing the issues from Henneman, and then it just seeing the overcorrection snap that these next gens always bring out whenever it breaks loose.
What an unfortunate break for both him, the 2 there and that 36. They just got clipped by the 38 of Hanneman, and that was all it takes. And like you said, Sam, classical next-gen moment there where these cars just, when they step out sideways, they're so hard to catch, and it's because of that reason that the car just immediately snaps as soon as the front tires grab, and that's what you see. I mean, he was pointing completely towards the infield, and the next thing you know, he's pointing towards the outside, wall. So just shows you how fast that direction change can happen when these cars can step out and lose all the grip.
In one fell swoop, are going to be having drivers in pit road getting some major damage repair for themselves. Still with required damage is Michael Bunchaka and Tony Martin. Stephen Bonomo has been in pit road for over 2.5 minutes, as he is currently 9 and going to be 4 laps down. Curious on how much longer the 9 machine will stay in pit road. Topping off on some damage repair going to be Jamie Horn, as well as Adam Garner getting just slight repairs done. But early going, a lot of trouble in the back, and curious, Zach, how is this going to influence the rest of the field? Because we were only able to get a lap and a half in before that first caution breaks out. The tires now are going to cool off even more, as they got a little bit of a fire off, but this restart could be even more dangerous if they're not careful.
It really could be, and the place I'm concerned the most is I know the balances are probably going to be a little rough when it comes to how these cars are going to want to handle. They might be a little bit loose, a little bit tight for these guys taking off, but I am really concerned for that dog leg. When they take that restart, you see how far they dive down there. All it takes is these cars on that low air pressure is to bottom out, or even just the rim to slam the ground on the tire. It just creates such a big problem for you very quickly, and that's what we saw from Jamie Horn when he hit that inside wall before, or right before all the action happened. With that recent caution there to bring us to this yellow. It's just one little moment like that down there, you bottom out, and next thing you know it, you're into that inside wall. So drivers have to be very, very careful here with this next gen vehicle. It is very sensitive to those transitions in that area of the track.
Try to keep yourself under control as much as possible, as the field is about to be given the 1 to go. Well, they've been given the 1 to go. We are going this time by, as a couple of drivers still sit in pit road, but up front, Jonathan Jennings, Andrew Sancour, Christopher Norris, Kevin Thompson going to be your top 4 drivers as we get ready for the launch. Jonathan Jennings going to take the inside row for this restart. And we're going to be seeing Raymond Hanneman going to be with an EOL because of the start of that incident. He'll start in the back for this restart as we're back to green flag racing. And how will the drivers use the dog leg? Well, Christopher Norris already ducks all the way down to the almost inside wall. We can see the wave of drivers entering back on the raceway, and it's going to be the 91 ahead for now as Norris tries to put the pressure and gas pedal on off the exit turn 2.
Oh man, very aggressive taking that dog leg like that. That was it could be a scary moment, but it seems like his car handled it well. So it seems like got through the bumps, but definitely already see some battling shaking up ahead up here, and these drivers all looking to find the track position that they need as we ride on board with 42 here at Leroy Koblenz.
Leroy missing out on last week's race. Great to see the 42 back out there on course. Currently running in 11th position, and seeing the variations of where you want to place your vehicle. That's kind of the fun of this current Phoenix, is you have so many different ways that you can go around this course. You have the outside lane through 1 and 2, and the inside can be used, but 3 and 4, it's very much stable. You know where you're driving. That's to that yellow line.
That is exactly right. Yeah, and it's interesting too, because when we see this, this track here, it has very much a lot of racing lines down there in 1 and 2, but in my opinion, still one of the toughest tracks to pass just due to those racing lines. Seems like each line can make speeds. Oh, the 57 here, looking to the inside. So David Halsey trying to get the Jonathan Smith inside here and get a pass done, but it just shows you again, passing is so tough, Sam. Every line here is viable.
Halsey doing a much better job this go around. His qualifying has been probably the top marks for David Halsey. It's been the finishes that's had some trouble on the colder tires at the initial start of these races, but right now being pressured behind by Justin McMahon, a driver that's won at this racetrack, the 24, poking the nose, getting under the 57. As Halsey not having the best launch that he wanted, and McMahon will utilize the run, and also utilizing the dog leg. The 24 makes the pass.
Nice pass, now going to slide up in front of that 57, who going to dive up the inside here, but you're going to see off the exit of this corner, the 24 here is going to clear very quickly. And there you go, Justin McMahon taking hold of that position, but 57 with a good enough run to just stay to the inside here. So let's see if McMahon can get off of turn number 4 here. Looks like he will finally do as they go into the dog leg, but just shows you again, passing is very, very difficult. Here's the 57 almost into the back bumper of the 24. Now he's going to slide up in front of him and throw a slider.
And trying a little bit of an aggressive move. David Halsey recognizing track position so key, doesn't want to give it up. They continue to fight back and forth, and this is a perfect showing of how hard it is to confirm a pass. Thought McMahon had it, and then in a blink of an eye, it's wide open on who's going to be keeping 6th place position. The one couple of drivers that are happy about this battling might be Michael Hayes and Steve Gerber, who's behind this two that are battling, because they're slowly inching closer and closer as they continue to go back and forth between the 57 and 24. Our top 5, though, in a comfortable spot, still single file and slowly pulling away from the rest of the field.
Now they are very, very comfortable up front, but my question again, we saw at Iowa, tire saving was huge. Given that conservation of tire, will it come back around for any of these drivers? It's going to be very interesting to see if that's the case here at Phoenix, or will it play out different? As you can see again, McMahon trying to get to the inside of Halsey and make that pass, but David Halsey just doing a great job of getting good exits here and fighting off that 24's fight to go forward.
There's a couple of drivers of note that have kind of gone with the we're going to save as much as we can. First driver is Michael Hayes in this 22, has given up 4 positions, qualified 4th, now running in 8th place, and maybe he's hoping for that big drop off to save some time. Other drivers deeper in the field that have really given up time. In 21st position, it's Daniel Wilkerson, who started in 10th. He's back in 21st. It's a lot of time that's been given up, but drivers that are needing a good run. We talked about that. Maybe they're not completely out of touch in the championship. They just need a couple of really good finishes to get back in the fight, and that's going to be the battling for 13th and 14th of Chris. That's going to be Eric Anderson and Chris Lethwich. Both of those drivers are outside of our top 16 in points, but both are in a position where if they can get a top 10, top 5 finish, they're right back into making that slow push to get back into our top 10 fight of points.
That would be huge for these guys, and they got to stay with it, man. They're right here on the edge of the stage points, not stage points, right on the edge of this grouping up here, and they need to stay with it because anything can happen in these short track races. We've seen at Iowa, I mean, a lot of the drivers who were up front didn't finish up front near the end of the race, and a lot of guys were able to get good finishes out of it. So got to stay with it and just stay clean here and stay focused as we're riding on board with the 78 here of Daniel Wilkerson, who's trying to close it down.
Wilkerson, one of those drivers that's really lost a lot of time to the start of this race. Again, has lost 11 positions and is tied now with the biggest quote-unquote loser, you could say, Jamie Horn, who has major front-end damage. Another driver that has lost and given up a lot of spots. Both have lost 11 spots from where they qualified. Rest of the field, either where they qualified, they continue to run, or they've moved up 1 to 3 positions as they continue to fight up front. There is one driver, though, that's starting to go backwards. That's the 83 of Christopher Norris. He's now starting to fall backwards to 5th and soon 6th and even further back, showing another driver that struggled at Iowa during the long run, having another troublesome spot here.
Very much so. It looks like right now, either maybe this is a case of just saving something, or I think, like you said, Sam, I think maybe I'm going to overheat those tires just a little bit here in these opening 19 laps. We'll see how he can recover. But just from like watching overall perspective wise, seems like just going in a little bit deeper than some of the other cars, maybe carrying a little too much momentum on that entry.
20 laps in the books. We've had 1 caution. That was back on lap 2 so far. A couple of drivers still in pit road with heavy damage. One being Steven Manomo and Michael Menchaca, both still sit in pit road. Been in pit road for over 10 minutes each. And going to be waiting to see if they can get back out on track or if they will just call it a night here early. Tony Martin, as well as Harrison Whitehead, who are in pit road for extended time, are back out on track. But here Whitehead is going to be 9 laps down, Martin 15 laps down. Their races, they need a miracle to get back on the lead lap, maybe a lot more yellows if possible. Leaving us with a total of 26 drivers on the lead lap as you're watching the Engine 4 Coffee 135 here this evening. As the field, 20 laps in the books, and look to be taking it pretty easy at this moment. Not a lot of movement's been going on up front. A couple of drivers have been able to go forward slightly, but here's a driver that needs a good day, and that's going to be the 19 of Nicholas Atwood. Not the best run he could have asked for last week at Las Vegas, but tonight needs a rebound after falling from 2nd down to 3rd in points, and it was a big loss of over 50 points after last week.
Exactly right. That was a huge loss for him. And he had the speed. I mean, he's part of that twisted axle group. And I expect him to have speed again here tonight. He's got his teammates up in second and third right now. So expect to see that 19 move forward. But it looks like Warman here, we're on the front bumper of him. He's starting to possibly close down a little bit to that top 10 there. But also you got Matthew Campbell, who we've seen the 82 having some very good runs here since he's debuted.
Well, we just got an update in the chat, and Steven Bonomo parking it here tonight for probably one of the most unique reasons. Starting park for the 9 because he had to go to a fantasy football draft today. So the 9 machine, good luck on your fantasy football draft, as he will be back, as it is fantasy baseball that he's going for. And you know, one of those things, Zach, where your real life obligations pop up instead of racing out there on track.
I love that, man. And he comes out here, he's dedicated to get one lap in the books. So at least, you know, he gets those points for that position back there. So cool to see that Steven's been doing that. But hey, hopefully the draft goes good for you there, Steven. We'll be rooting for you, buddy, to get a good draft in.
Good luck, Steven, as the rest of the field continue to cruise along. 25 laps in the book, and he's hoping to continue moving forward for the rest of the field with one driver that continues to dominate. That's Jonathan Jennings. And talked about the dominance during qualifying for the 91, Zach. Every racer at Phoenix, he has gotten the pole, has led the most laps. He's won 3 of the 5 races here at this course. When a driver has that much dominance, you know he's the favorite to watch out for. But I've been looking at the past races, the last 2 that he's lost, there's been 5 to 6 cautions popped up, showing you need a little bit of luck and strategy and maybe some cautions to get back into the fight. But Andrew St. Clair, he's still in touching distance, about a second back from Jennings if Jennings starts to fall off at any moment.
That's going to be a good question to see if Jennings can fall off, because he's looked almost picture perfect so far through here, especially with that qualifying lap to start off. Kind of opened that gap out to a second now, and it's just been about 5 to 6 hundredths faster each and every lap than Core, and that time about a 10th. So just starting to really open up that gap, so to say. And we'll see if Andrew can come back around, because we saw Iowa, he was one of the best cars on that very, very long run. He might have it set up for that. My only concern for that is right here when we come by here soon, we'll be completing 30 laps, Sam, and that is about halfway of what you can do on a fuel run. So if he's going to have some speed here at the end, he better show it in the final 30.
Trying to show in the final 30, one driver that kind of backed off, but starting to see some speed, just showing slightly. Kevin Thompson in 3rd place. That's a driver that I've been looking at the timing sheets. He has been slowly but surely closing in and starting equaling times with Jonathan Jennings, and hoping to see that transition maybe transfer over to the 6, but he's 3 seconds back. That's a lot of time to make up. As we take a look at our weather conditions under the lights, and it is cool and a perfect night for racing here at Phoenix, as the air temp 74 degrees, track temp 79. The wind barely there at 2 miles per hour. But Zach, this is perfect racing for drivers to protect those tires. And you know, for some, they love it. Others, they maybe wish that it was a little bit of a hotter racetrack that they're working on. As the field continues to race their way here tonight, weather conditions again perfect for these drivers this evening, and 31 laps in the book. Like Zach said earlier, we're about halfway through this run here tonight, but do want to give a shout out to the Engine 4 Coffee for being the major sponsor for tonight's race. It is an amazing group that is first responders that are trying to come together to make their own coffee company. Engine 4 Coffee Company is a firefighter owned and operated coffee company with a passion for quality and flavor. Engine 4 Coffee believes in highlighting the unique flavor and complexity of each bean and each roast. Engine 4 Coffee Company's mission is to provide high-quality coffee at an affordable price with a commitment to commissions and honest practice that reflects the values of first responders. You can go down in the chat where I've just put down the link to visit engine4coffee.com and use their code ENG4COF for 10% off on your order. Go support first responders with Engine 4 Coffee Company today. Thanks so much for being the race sponsor for tonight for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, as the league still continues to race on. 33 laps in the books. And Zach, this race kind of what we expect from a Phoenix race, maybe in the middle run, but early on, just to have this long green flag racing is perfect to see. But I think everyone knows later on in this race, we could be finding ourselves in trouble if they get any closer to a wreck.
No, exactly. You're very, very right about this. And, you know, it normally takes, like you said, a little bit of time before we get into one of these longer runs at a short track like this. But I've seen it with this league. Everybody here very, very smart. And what they show is a lot of racecraft. They know, hey, man, and I think that even comes down to a little bit of open setup. You know, when it's a fixed setup race, I feel like everybody's trying to get that upper edge on each other with track position to really matter that much more. Where in an open setup race, it kind of comes down to more of your equipment. You say, hey, I know my stuff is going to work better if I just treat it like this, and then you can try to come back around on a person. And I think that makes everybody's racecraft that much higher when it comes to how they race here, and it's just shown to be some very good races so far here early in these first 35 laps.
Early in this first 35 laps, we get our first caution, and now 2 drivers have officially called it a night. And it's not even the 2 that have been in pit road for the longest time here this evening. It's Mark Dumont, Eddie Rivers. Both have disconnected and have called it an evening. For Mark Dumont, self-spun, overcorrected, hard-nose damage, decided to just call it an evening, and Eddie Rivers just pulled it into pit road about 5 laps ago and has just called it an evening as well for himself. Other drivers that have also called it a night, Andy Cork, who did not take the initial start, did qualify, did run practice, but just didn't take the green, decided to call it an evening as well for that machine. So now we're just left with a handful of drivers out there on course, and a few more have also called it a night. Of Harrison Whitehead and Steve Manomo might be the next as well to call it an evening, which, Zach, we're losing a lot of these back, drivers in the back, but in the middle of the field, we're starting to see Jamie Horn with the recovery run for the 98 machine.
Great job by him, and look at that front end. There is no bumper on it. Horn is doing this with no front end. That's pretty interesting to see. I'd be very interested to see what he could do if he actually had a front end. Now, he does have, a very minuscule amount of fresher tires, but I don't think that is really the difference that he's seeing, and especially with that damage he has, is he sees the battle in front of him between Christopher Simon and Gary Clune. He's going to try to take advantage of that here. Is Simon a little bit slow up off the corner. Now going to look to the inside. Here's Horn.
Trying to take the advantage as quickly as they can as Simon stays high. Horn dips low. Going to go down on the open dog leg. Try to cut that distance down if possible. And going to be seeing the 98 make the pass on Simon. Also, other drivers ahead look to be signs to pit road. It's Steven Gerber into pit road for the 10 machine. Was running pretty slow. I think might have gotten into the outside wall in the 10, making an early pit stop here on lap 40.
That is very early for sure, Sam. And, I think the reasoning for that pit stop too is we cannot make it the full, we can't make it a one stop. So really, if you're going to split this race up, instead of into half, you're going to split this up into 2, to 1/3, and 40 laps right here to start off. Not the worst idea. I was expecting more around the 50 lap mark probably on this first one, but we'll see when others start to come down.
When will some of these other drivers make that hard turn into pit road, or do you continue to stay where you're at as we're watching the battling for 8th place? Justin McMahon under fire as Eric Warman in the 31 staying patient, moving forward, and also we're seeing Matthew Campbell behind, just tracking their way forward, protecting their tires, willing to take every little position they can, and also following behind them is going to be our biggest mover of the night so far from where they qualified. The 8 machine of Chris Leftwich is in the mix, watching Warman make the pass.
Whoa, the 82 there loose for Campbell. Here's Leftwich, comes up to the back bumper, and now dives to the outside of Matthew Campbell here. We'll see, can Campbell get the drive through the center and up off? But no, it's going to be the 8 as the 82 closes the door. The 8 has to lift now, has to look to the inside. Campbell doing good defense here to hold back the 8 machine, but now again, looking to the inside once again.
Trying to see an opening, and it looks like for the 82, going to be staying on the outside of Campbell. Campbell will stay on the actual racing surface while Leftwich cuts down the distance on the open dog leg. They'll stay side by side through 1 and 2, and it's going to be Campbell who should have the advantage, but those tires look to be slightly warmed up, but finding the momentum on the gas pedal is the 82. They'll drag race into turn number 3. Campbell, who, with some of those little slip and slides, we've seen the tire. Once it gets heated up, it feels almost impossible to recover. Did a good job for at least the corner, but Leftwich is too quick and moves away.
Great job by Leftwich to make that pass. That's a tough pass to make, man, because when you have a person on your door like that on the outside, they just have so much more of an advantage to carry the speed. You can see Leftwich there looking to drive off from the 8 machine much better than the 82. 82 struggling right now to keep that.
Trying to set up. Eric Anderson also starting to close in on this gap, and Nicholas Atwood all in distance to try to get a little bit closer if possible. As this race continues to stay green, 45 laps in the book, and now we're kind of in that zone of when will we see maybe some of these drivers think about making their pit stop. Update on Steve Gerber, heavy damage, had to find himself going into pit road and stayed for extended time. I don't think that was a planned pit stop because he was in pit road for over almost a minute and a half. The 10, 4 laps down. That's got to be frustrating, who was running inside of our top 10. But first of our front runners, Justin McMahon into pit road. He'll take that early advantage, but these pit stops, pit lane, Zach, this is the longest pit lane stretch that a lot of these drivers are going to have to deal with.
That it is. Very, very long pit road here, and I like this interesting call here to go at 45. That's about what you would want to do and split it up into. So we'll see how that works out for McMahon. And I think also track position more than anything is going to matter. I've been watching lap times. Once you've gotten to about a 28, it's been 28 ones, twos, and threes for majority of our top 10. So a lot of drivers right now just not finding the speed that they were. A lot of times even and out. And you can even see here with the 83, this one screen. Christopher Norris kind of being a little bit of a logjam here as the 57 and the 22 just cannot find their way around.
Can't get around, but willing to be patient. Looking at the lap times, I'm curious for Michael Hayes how long he's willing to just settle in place, because these drivers now going to be losing touch to the potential battle of Jonathan Smith ahead. That's a 2-second difference from where Christopher Norris runs to where we're seeing this battle. And see also Nicholas Atwood try to set up a pass to get by Campbell, who's struggling. Also Anderson able to make the pass on the 82, and that crossover move kind of sets up for the 19 for a quick second. It looked like maybe to dive down low, but decides to back off, and I like this patient approach by the 19. Don't overuse those tires and just let the competition ahead use up their rubber, as you'll find an opening sooner or later to make this pass.
That he will. I mean, he's been quicker, so he's going to try to find that opening, maybe try to slide through here, but so the 82 getting tight in the center. There's the 43 really having to check up. Can Atwood take advantage of that? Just couldn't do it. He got to the bumper almost too soon. The timing just wasn't there, and the dirty air actually almost put him up right against the wall as he brushed it, actually coming through of 1 and 2 there. Is now through 3 and 4. Once again, another good sizable run. He might be able to get the look to the inside here, the 43, with this run through the dogleg.
He's lower for longer, using the brakes, willing to be braver on the brakes late. Is going to be Atwood. Into pit road is going to be Campbell, and there's the opening. It's such a path that you're hoping for, but Anderson has the better run on the outside, keeping it side by side as Atwood finally able to duck the nose ahead. Will just fall behind. It's going to be Anderson, but Atwood loves the fact that he was able to finally make that pass.
That he does. You love when you get that pass done, because right now he's got about 2.1 seconds up to the next car. That's going to put a lot of good clean air on that nose of that 19. It's going to get the feel now to balance that car and just really feel what it would be like if he could get some more track position.
More drivers have entered pit road. We saw Campbell on our screen enter pit road. Joe McKnight also has entered pit road. And now the question lies, do you continue to stay out as long as possible on this run, or do you do a short pit? Try to maximize your tires in a pit stop here as we go back to the battling for 5th position. Christopher Norris, Halsey, and Hayes. They continue to be where they were at the last time we saw them, but the patience level, I think it might be dwindling away, as Halsey just seems like wants to use the bumper, but doesn't feel confident with the tires, and there's the opening for Hayes to get down low through the dog leg.
This is what Hayes was looking for. He was following this group. Here comes Christopher Norris on the radio saying he's going to be pitting in here, so this is going to be interesting with Hayes right behind him. He's going to be ducking in as he comes to pit road, and look at this entry. Oof. So he's carrying a ton of speed.
Almost identical to what we just saw that allowed Atwood to make the pass. Was about to get an opening to make a pass, and then the driver ahead goes into pit road and just flip-flopping around. Other drivers that enter pit road, Jonathan Smith with Christopher Norris and Eric Anderson making their stops. As take a look at the 6th machine of Kevin Thompson. Thompson currently runs in 3rd place and has been slowly but surely catching up to his teammate of Andrew St. Cours. And looking at the lap time, Zach, it's still impressive. Jonathan Jennings he's running about anywhere from 2 to 4 tenths faster than even second place of Andrew St. Cours in the 12. And then he's running about a half second faster than the rest of the field.
It's very interesting. Yeah, I've been watching lap times, and what's kind of mind blowing for me is I've seen the lap times jump up and down. Like, Jennings, I saw him actually jump down to a 28.0, which I haven't seen anybody doing with these tires, which he just did a 28.057, as I must say. It almost seems like the tires kind of go through a heat cycle of cooling down and reheating back up, because his lap times have been in the 3s and 4s at moments and then back down into the 1s and 0s. And then same thing for Kevin Thompson, but St. Cours struggling a little bit more here. We've been watching his have been down to the 5s and 6s, and then he'll go back to the 3s. So seems like you bounce back and forth with the lap times as you get later into the run here with these tires, but should be soon having to come to pit road for a lot of these guys, Sam.
57 laps in the books for Jonathan Jennings and the rest of the field as they cross the lap time counter, and getting by lap traffic currently is one of the biggest troubles at the moment, as St. Cours loves the fact that he was able to get by that 58 machine. That's Nicholas Schell going to be in the 21st position. Schell's going to go down for a second lap, but did make a pit stop and also was passed. And we're seeing a lot of these drivers working into the end of this run while green flag pit stops are in the middle of this sequence. And right now, only having a total of 13 drivers on the lead lap, but then you look at the drivers and the level of those that are 1 lap down compared to 2 laps down. 20th to 14th are 1 lap down, and then 21st on back 2 or more laps down. So we could have, if a caution was to come out at this moment, be trapping a lot of drivers that were hoping for this full pit cycle to go through. Could be trapped 1 lap down even with the wave around.
This would be huge, and I think that's why you're seeing the likes of Jennings, St. Cours, Thompson, our top 3, continue to put in laps here, because they know if a caution wasn't come out if they pit, it could ruin their complete night. They've had built such a gap that they have the ability to come down late, so they're taking advantage of it. And I expect with those caution laps, Sam, we probably can go around 63, 64 laps here. So I'm expecting very soon these drivers having to be hitting, as our leader is now starting his 60th lap officially.
Continues to stay out, looking on the radio to see if any drivers give us indications if they're going into pit road. Nothing being said by our top 3, as Jonathan Jennings' gap is now up to 5 seconds between himself and Andrew St. Cours. Kevin Thompson in 3rd. Thompson looks to be trying to set up for a pass here on the 12, as he's been inching closer and closer each lap. But we talked about that, heat cycle the drivers go through in the middle of this race. It looks like finally have equaled out between the teammates here for 2nd and 3rd.
That it really has. It seems like St. Cours finding pace again, 28.295. So it just shows you again, those lap times kind of bounce around once you get at the end. You just got to hit your marks. And a lot of, I think what that comes down to is these guys are shifting. They're going from 5th to 4th a lot of times throughout the lap, and that right there can kind of throw you off, as it looks like Cours going low here. Thompson to the outside. I think maybe St. Cours here might be heading to pit road, or that might just be the line that he's running.
Looks to be the line that he's decided to go with. Interesting to see how drivers change up where they feel the most comfortable. Driving on the apron, you were talking about that danger, Zach, of using the dog leg going down there, but I think for a lot of people, they don't realize how much wear and tear using the dog leg can be if you're using it each and every lap.
It can. I mean, a huge thing in iRacing is the factor of heat buildup. We talk about tire heat more than anything. It's not tire wear, folks out there. It's always about the heat, in my opinion, as a driver. It doesn't matter how much the wear is. If you build up heat, you are going to struggle. And going over those transitions, hopping those tires each and every time, those tires are coming off the ground and landing back on the surface. That is immediately heating the surface of that tire. So, in my opinion, cutting that dog leg every single lap can have a very tall tail on your tires.
As more drivers have now made their pit stops, the next 2 was going to be David Halsey and Eric Warman going to be getting their pit stops done, as well as seeing who else might be taking the next chance to dip into pit road, as we've been 64 laps out on track. And it's going to be Chris Leftwich that's going to be the next driver to enter pit road. We still wait for 12 drivers to make their stop. It's going to be our top 3 that have been there all night long, of Jonathan Jennings, Andrew St. Cours, Kevin Thompson, The question of Michael Hayes can be answered this lap. The 22 has been spamming in the driver's channel, saying he's coming into pit road this time by, as the 22 makes his mark. Our points leader coming in tonight, making the push into pit road, and drivers trying to get as much speed as they can. They have to slow down to 45 miles per hour on pit entry, but they have to wait until that very last line. You see the cones right there on screen. That's your marker. You have to be down to 45 miles per hour at that moment. And Jonathan Jennings now into pit road for a leader, and also going to be St. Cour following right behind.
And it looks like Kevin Thompson was in the last time around, so looks like everybody coming to pit road as the lead stays in the hand of Jennings. It's very unnormal to see when that lead doesn't change hands for somebody when they come to pit road, but it just shows you the gap he had. I do think, though, the likes of Justin McMahon and Jonathan Smith, they might be able to have jumped them, Sam.
There is a chance, especially with the way that they were way more aggressive on pit entry. That is where you can gain a lot of time, and the aggressiveness off of pit exit. You can gain a lot of momentum there, as Adam Gardner going to stay out on track. Came into pit road under our first caution flag, topped off on fuel, so it's allowed the 56 to be out there on course to lead a lap, and that's 5 bonus points for Gardner that he would love to keep. But the amount of track position that might be lost because of this decision, it's going to be great, especially with now almost everyone on track has fresher rubber than the 56 machine. He's in a spot where he's got to make sure that he finds space to get down low to pit road here in the next 3 to 4 laps if he's stretching it as far as he can go.
That's right, yeah. It's going to be about 3 or 4 more laps till he has to pit from what we've seen so far from others. So we'll see if Gardner can get down there. But McMahon, he should take over the lead when the 56 comes down. I think his only concern is he better hope that Gardner comes soon, because Jennings only about 2.5 seconds back from this 24. It's only going to be a few moments before that 91 will be on his back bumper being a threat.
The best case scenario, I think, for Justin McMahon would most likely be is to stay green until Jonathan Jennings either makes a pass or gets right on the back bumper and then a yellow flag comes out. That would put Jennings in a tough spot of, does he pit or stay out with the much fresher tires and the majority of the field out there? And Justin McMahon then could make that hard decision of, do I want to stay out with those older tires, or gives you that option of the rest of the field saying, hey, let's get fresh rubber and try to go on that off strategy to beat Jennings.
It could be a very well good strategy to pull off to try to beat him, and definitely going to need some timing with some yellows here for that for sure. But you never know in racing, man. That's the whole point of this. And Gardner's still staying out. Actually, as I say that, he's just ducked into pit road. So this 24 of McMahon should take the lead here down into 1 and 2. And if he can hold on to that before Jonathan Smith can get there, he will lead himself a lap.
Justin McMahon makes the pass, gets ahead, and will lead this lap for the 24. Jonathan Smith now will try to make the pass to get into the lead and lead a lap for this next go around. And as these drivers continue to battle back and forth, the 99, much fresher tires, no surprise, will blast away. And oh, there's the caution. Talked about it needed to come out around this time, and it does. Strike, and it's going to be the 45 of Gary Clune that shocks and changes everything here with the wreck between himself and Michael Menchaca.
Oh, man. Jonathan Smith and Justin McMahon, they need to give themselves some lottery tickets, because they just won the lottery here by being out front while this caution came out, as this has changed everything. Like you said, Sam, this is what they wanted.
Maybe they wanted another 5-6 more laps, put down some more wear and tear on the tires of Jennings and Thompson. But I mean, a slight advantage could be placed here, as McMahon has been out there for 26 laps on these tires. Same for Smith. As we take a look at what brought out our second caution of the day, it's going to be the 34 and the yellow and black machine right in front of the 45. Just going to break loose, overcorrect back into Clune, and Menchaca's going to lock it down. Clune's going to lock it down, and they're just going to blast on by as, wow, Raymond Hindeman was lucky there with almost being clipped, and then Clune backs up right in front of the field as they were bearing down on the 45 machine. But let's ride on board with Raymond here in the 38 and get a sense of how close he could have been involved in this wreck.
This was so close. This was narrowly avoiding disaster, as they'd say. As you can see that wreck happening up ahead of him, he's like, okay, and then, oh, as you can see, when they let the brakes out right there and rolled, he was thinking, man, it's all over with. But he made it through, and that's what he's got to take with him now. As like you said before with that strategy, Sam, maybe would have won another 5-10 laps for that caution, because again, Jennings, Thompson, they're going to stay out here and save that set of tires. But still not the worst case scenario for someone like a Christopher Norris, a Jonathan Smith, or a Justin McMahon.
And maybe you needed just 5 laps of fresh rubber to work with. As all those drivers that needed that pit strategy to yellow flag to come out, enter pit road. For us, we're going to take our commercial break here tonight as we are in this official second half of tonight's race. Thank you so much for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You're watching the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. We will be back right after this for more racing action for the Engine 4 Coffee 135 here at Phoenix. We'll be back in just a few moments. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me in the booth is Zach Hall. Running productions in the background, it's Robert Moyer Jr. You're watching the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, partnered with Group 6 and affiliated with Fanatics, as the drivers getting done with their second caution of the day. There's a couple of different strategy calls that were out there on track. Some drivers decided to stay out as we just finished the pit cycle when that yellow flag popped up. Other drivers deciding to enter pit road, and it's Jonathan Jennings still up front, the most dominant driver of the evening. For the tire strategies, just a 1-lap advantage over Kevin Thompson. A pretty big advantage of 2 laps over Chris Leftwich, an even bigger one over Eric Anderson. But Christopher Norris and practically everyone from 6th on back just pitted for tires. And I'm curious on, do they even have a chance? Because Zach, they started on that last restart back around 7th and 8th place. It's a lot of drivers you have to pass, and that basically throws away any advantage that you were hoping for to push forward for any positioning.
It really does. It really throws away. And like, another thing about it is, like, it just looks like the tires are not that big of a difference so far. Eric Anderson was able to hold them up pretty well, as you can see right here. This grouping, things were getting a little mixy, as I think Halsey and Garner actually made contact down there 1 and 2, Sam. And that kind of stacked things up, as you also got the 2 of Tony Martin, who's damaged here from that earlier wreck.
Tony Martin involved in our lap 2 incident, and he is very slow. And right now, right in front of David Halsey, and Halsey able to move by Gardner, and right on board 56 currently, trying to put the pressure to get by the 2 machine. And Tony Martin got to be in a big hazard on track as everyone's trying to scoot their way around on the outside of the 2 machine, or they're trying to fluctuate if the inside row is an opportunity or a chance to make any of these moves. As they continue to see the 2 fall backwards, other drivers are having some pretty good battles. For 3rd place, Chris Leftwich, great run for himself to recover. It's currently our biggest mover, but he is being hunted and hounded by Christopher Norris in the fresher rubber, currently battling for that 3rd place spot. The 83 is not wanting to be patient at all with these drivers up front.
He's trying to give that track position. I think he's seen that fresh rubber hasn't mattered that much. It's more or less trying to get past these guys and settle in, and maybe try to hope that the top 2 can race each other out and use up their stuff, and he'll have a shot here at the end with a little bit fresher rubber. Right now, having a tough time setting up the Saint machine, who has done a good job of just defending for most of the night, and also been just doing a good job of just really getting good runs off the exit. That allows you to be able to hold off these spots.
As these drivers continue to race on, thank you to everyone that's watching with us here tonight. Who are you rooting for? Who do you want to find in the victory lane? Is it a team, a driver? Right now, Jonathan Jennings looks to be the favorite. If you're looking for an underdog, could be Kevin Thompson. Thought maybe it would be Andrew St. Cour, but trouble under pit road for St. Cour. Decides to go into pit road for the 12, and had to also drop to the end of the line. Might have been caught speeding, and Zach, that's a troublesome spot, but hey, speaking of trouble, issues in the back, it's Joe McKnight in the 51, bringing down a caution flag here this evening.
Ooh, tough break there from McKnight. Is that 51 heavy nose damage, it looks like, from that incident, and see how that all played out for him, because he was maybe a little bit there off pace, and I think had a little issue going into turn 3 and 4 on this lap here. See down to 3 and 4. Almost got a little bit of help from the 45 Akun, but comes off the exit up here off of 2, and just really loose there. Tries to gather it up, and then when he comes down here into the entry of 3 and 4, looks like it steps out once again with those tires being hot. Almost hit the inside wall, and it clips the apron and spins fully around. So man, oh man, Sam, looks like clipping that inside wall, spun him around, got him loose.
It just was trying to save it all the way through, and does not work out for the 51 machine, as he tried to get a little bit too much off the entry of the corner, bounces off that pit wall, and finding the 51 spinning around, also touching that apron doesn't help. It goes down, bounces off the wall, tries to save it, but then once he touches the apron, it's game over. The lazy spin strikes, and that will bring out our 3rd caution of the day, and it puts some of those drivers that did not pit under our most recent caution before this one that we're under right now. Now they get to have the advantage going into pit road. Jonathan Jennings, Michael Hayes, Kevin Thompson all go into pit road to use their 2nd set of tires, and now they're going to have the around 10 to 11 lap advantage on tires.
This will be a little bit bigger advantage for sure, and you know, with how many people stayed out, it's not the worst case scenario for some of these guys. But if you are St. Cour, you're probably sitting there saying, man, and Matthew Campbell, you're probably saying, man, this is gonna be tough, because you're the first line of defense for those old tires. But if you're someone like Jonathan Smith or Christopher Norris, you got to at least feel confident that, hey, for a few laps here, maybe 10, 15, maybe 10, maybe even hopefully 15 for their sake, they'll be able to hold off those fresh tires. But I think it's inevitable at this point. If it does stay green, those fresh tires will get there. It's just, if that timing is right, maybe they keep that lead and we all go back to pit road once again.
Hoping to get a good launch here tonight, as we are 86 laps in the book. About to be starting lap 87 here at Phoenix for the Engine 4 Coffee 135. Again, if you look in the chat, already put a link down to the promo code that you can use. Go check out engine4coffee.com. It's a firefighter engine group that is helping make their own coffee, and they want to make sure that give you affordable pricing on your coffee, and as well, you're helping out first responders with buying this coffee. So go check out Engine 4 Coffee for being the race sponsor today, and as well, go down in the description of today's racing broadcast if you would like to financially help the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series and just the Doghouse Racing leagues in general. They've got plenty of other leagues that they have go check out the Fanatics link down in the description. Fanatics is affiliated with the Doghouse Racing League. All purchases are earning commissions to the Doghouse Racing League, which those commissions help out with funding the league with prizes and goods to the drivers throughout the season and seasons beyond. And also a huge shout out to Shoney's, who's the main sponsor, has been a huge sponsor to the Doghouse Racing Leagues and Group 6 that has partnered up for this season with the Cup Series. Well, Zach, we're in that awkward stage, I would say, of racing here at Phoenix and just racing in general. Cautions breeding cautions at short track style racing courses, but also we're in that final stage. Everyone basically has just one set of tires left for the rest of this race, and they're right on the cusp of making it to the end of this race with this pit stop.
That they are. They're right on that cusp, and we'll see how this all shakes out now with, you know, these drivers up front on the older tires. Looks like got 8 of them on it. Then Jonathan Jennings back in ninth.
Trouble.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to delay the green. That's Chris Leftwich. What in the world happened there as the 8 just gassed it up and looped it around and then collecting Michael Menchaca for a last minute. That was a bizarre time. That's going to delay us on this restart. And the field is confused on that restart right there as the H is having trouble for a moment.
Yeah, they were. I think they were all thrown off by that, as I think even the 8 was too, because he did not expect that. Maybe trying to get some heat in those tires and build it up. And yeah, just a little bit of a slight spin there for that. And I mean, it's easy to do, really, especially on these low air pressures. These cars are really reactive. So definitely a wild moment there, but it looks like pace car pulling back off. We're going to get ready to restack them and get ready to go back through.
Well, everyone gets back in their positionings, ready for this restart as the pace car makes the long march down pit road. The field has to wait until the exit, off the exit of turn 4. The Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. Let's try this restart around as the engine 4 coffee 135 about to get back underway. Christopher Norris going to be the lead driver with Jonathan Smith to his outside. Green flag's in the air. Top 7 going to be on older tires, 16 lap old tires compared to 4 lap old tires. To those that are 8th on back, being led by that of Michael Hayes and others. They're trying their way forward, and Atwood going to be pushed up into the outside wall.
Atwood shoved up into the outside wall, and I think that was from the 24 of McMahon. I think he might have even got a little slight, I don't know if he got actually no touch, but I think a little bit of a slight scare from the 12, or actually no, sorry, it might have been neck code from the 12 of 4. So things are going crazy here, Sam, as these new tires are trying to come through.
They're going to drive 4 wide, passing for 7th place, and Kevin Thompson going to be taking the advantage for a quick moment. Then Michael Hayes going to be poking his nose. Jonathan Jennings, the top 3 drivers, battling forward for 6th place, as right in their mirror going to be seen for Andrew St. Cours, who's on a different run, trying to survive. But up front, it's getting chaotic. You can see the pictures of the drivers in the back, but Christopher Norris trying to pull away, recognizing the drivers from 6th, 7th, and 8th are on the charge, and they want to catch up quickly to that front runner.
Look at this huge picture right here in the big game of things. Kevin Thompson has jumped past Jonathan Jennings with all that racing they had going on there. Now Thompson in control here with that fresh set of tires. We'll see what he can do, but also Michael Hayes, the first one on the set of tires, he's been able to jump all of them.
And now Jonathan Jennings, I mean, for Michael Hayes, you could say this is a perfect picture because Kevin Thompson is going to have to try to hold back that 91 machine as much as possible. But Hayes just putting down the fastest lap of the race. I don't know if you really want to be using up your tires that aggressively at this moment, but looking at the lap times, Zach, almost everyone, it doesn't matter if you're on older tires or new, everyone just ran at their fastest lap of the race that last lap.
This track picking up speed here, folks, and that's just showing what the grip level's like. Just not even that big a difference in tires. And I think the reason why the tire difference hasn't been too big tonight, when we see guys like Kevin Thompson, Jonathan Jennings, who dominated tonight, you know, restart back in 8th or 9th on back, they've only got up to 7th and 8th. And I mean, the guys in front of them have about 15 lap older tires than them. The reason we're not seeing that big difference is these tires cool down under those caution laps, and again, that heat I think is the biggest thing that comes to that speed here at Phoenix. And right now you can see the 6 under threat for the 91. This could be the battle maybe for that lead at some point.
As Jonathan Jennings inside, trying to get by Kevin Thompson. Thompson fights on the outside row, continues to keep his foot in the throttle. Thompson's trying his best. Hold back Jonathan Jennings. Jennings, for the last two seasons that they've ran at this track at Phoenix, has led the most laps, has gotten the pole, but has not won of those last two races. He won the first three, but when they extended the laps to over 100 laps, Jennings has yet to win. And now he's hoping to get a win here tonight, but he's got a lot of work to get done as he's not able to make the pass on Kevin Thompson.
This is very intense to see because, again, this right here, in my opinion, could be the battle for the win if we stay green. These guys right here, two of the top contenders all night long, and they know what's on the line. I think Jennings here trying to find a way around, but right now Thompson's just been smart and with his defense, he's not allowing him to get to that right rear quarter panel.
Keeping it close, keeping it methodical, but also another thing of note to look out for is all these drivers, because of the timing of that last caution, it kind of enables everyone that pitted under the second to last yellow. They're now eligible to potentially, if they save enough fuel to make it to the end. This is going to be, if we stay green, everyone racing to the end of this checkered. We're not expecting anyone to have to come into pit road.
I'd like to say that too, Sam. I think we're going to be good on fuel. I think the big thing here, if we stay green, how your tires going to be, folks, and how can you pass? Because this right here just showing the dominant car of the night. The car that's led pretty much from the start to now since getting back here in this traffic of Jennings. He's just stuck here, Sam, and it just shows you this track. You can have a fast car, but you have to work someone over so long before you can get a pass done, and he's got a lot of traffic to go through to get up front.
And the driver that Jonathan Jennings is keeping his eye on, trying to make a pass ahead of Kevin Thompson. Michael Hayes getting by Andrew Sankour. Is he protecting his tires a little bit more? But are we finally in that swing where the older tires compared to the new, you're starting to find that wiggle window of the drivers that were good on the short run starting to fall off now as all the drivers that did not pit under our last caution now on 27-lap old tires.
This is so interesting to see. And now look, Jennings to the outside of Thompson. This is what he wants. But I think the worst case scenario for him is the 12 is coming up. And if the 12 does it, it looks like Thompson will clear here, but can Kevin Thompson get out of the way of the 12? This is going to be interesting. Can they use the 12 as a pick here? Because they know this battle's so important.
Teamwork and team effort. That twisted axle group have been fantastic when you look at super speedway type racing. Short tracks though, how much team effort do you want to put down to maybe help your teammate win here tonight? Is Andrew Sankour going to just fight and be on his own, or will they even have to survive because there's wiggling in front, 3 wide, battling for third place? Halsey, McMahon, and now going to be Hayes trying to get through, and that little bit of a wiggle and misstep is now going to squeeze all these drivers together. Now it's going to be 4th, back to 8th place, stacked. You could put a blanket over them, a mess, and Sankour is starting to put that dirty air on his teammate.
That he is putting the dirty air on his teammate, putting the draft to Jennings. But I think you got to do what's best for you right now in this scenario because everybody's stacked up. McMahon on the outside of Hayes, and can Hayes get around the go, try to attack Halsey because he knows if he can do that, that puts 2 cars in between him and the other tires.
And Halsey going a little bit too deep, almost brushing the outside wall. The 22 needs a great launch off the exit of turn 2, and he will as he moves up, slots into 4th. And Hayes moves away. McMahon now the next driver to be a blocking wall for Thompson and Jennings, who continue to fight back and forth. It's wide open. Who's going to win the race? It is still a major unknown as we're about to crack to 30 laps to go.
This has been fantastic racing right here, and it just shows you it's so tough to pass here, man. You put cars that have led the whole race back here on fresher tires, and they just can't go forward because there is a wall of traffic and dirty air. This place is a tough place, Sam. You got to stay on top of the strategy. You got to stay on top of the track position. And tonight, if this wind does get away from that 91, I think that's what he's going to go back and say got away from him.
And as this battle is still on top of one another between Thompson, Jennings, the battle for the lead, they pulled away. They are now for Christopher Norris. He's 1.7 seconds ahead of David Halsey, but he's got Jonathan Smith on his back bumper. Smith and Norris, who may be the favorite here, because with 30 laps to go, I mean, there's still plenty of time for the likes of Hayes, Halsey, maybe to try to close in on this gap, but At the rate that they're closing in, Zach, it might be just these two racing for the win.
It very well could be, Sam. This could be a nail-biter of a finish because my thing is you still got Jennings and Thompson. Those are the two cars that have such excellent speed, in my opinion, that they could go up there and just run them down very quickly. But now, as they have gotten past Core, I think that's a huge thing because that 91 needs to get going, and he's got the 6 back to his inside, though, fighting strong, and that just slowing those two down. But again, they know this could be the battle for the win if things shake up front.
And as they're battling back and forth still for 6th place, the battle for 3rd is now underway. Michael Hayes gets to the inside of David Halsey, and Hayes has been the most efficient driver with the fresh rubber to make these passes. It takes him only about 1 to 2 laps to get by each driver, and his big advantage, utilizing the dog leg to perfection to get to the inside of somebody on the entry of the dog leg and then get completely sideways, and Halsey bounces off the wall. He's trying to use that as an advantage, but it's not going to stick. The 22 blasts by. He's now up to 3rd and with fresh air, trying to pull away from this group and run down our top 2.
Critical time, just under 2 seconds to the leader of Christopher Norris is this 22. And again, vital thing, 2 cars in between him and Kevin Thompson and Jonathan Jennings, the other fresh tires coming through. This is exactly where you want to be sitting if that 22. Now he's just got to focus forward, Sam, and try to drive out that front windshield.
Kevin Thompson now trying to finally get a little bit of spacing between himself and Jonathan Jennings as they fight back and forth. Jennings once again willing to use a little bit more of the brakes late on entry. Crossover by the 91, defended by the 6 as they're both trying to get by Justin McMahon, who's just a sitting and wait victim on the outside as they continue to fight forward. They also have a little bit of lap traffic that's going to fall right in front of them. That's going to be Michael Winchapka, who's going to be slow right in front of Halsey. This could give an advantage to Kevin Thompson. Thompson does not take that advantage just yet. He'll throttle up. There'll be 3 wide off the exit, and Jennings, he'll utilize a slight bit of a shallow exit for the 6 and get right underneath Halsey, and now Halsey's been dispatched. It's an equal footing for Kevin Thompson to run down Hayes.
Can Jennings clear this 57? That's going to be critical because he's seeing the 6 get away. The 57, though, with the run down the back straightaway. Here comes the 24 McMahon looking to the quarter panel also. Can the 91 get it off of here, off of 4? This is going to be critical, Sam, as it looks like he will have the drive off.
He's going to have the drive off. Also will have the dog leg to utilize that shorter distance to pull away. And Jennings now, half a second has been grown just because of that one window of a half a lap of battling side by side. It's allowed Thompson to pull away. Last time around. Oh no! Halsey McMahon, everyone spins! And there's the late caution as we were closing to 20 to go. This now gives an opportunity for everyone to make the hard decision. Do you pit for tires or not?
I think, that decision's so tough. We've seen the tires not work, but I think with the run we've just seen, the length of the run, I think you have to make that happen. But let's go back and look what happened here. Hard racing for this position, and it looks like McMahon going to slide up into that 57 and off the corner exit here. These two come together once again, and it just looks like 2 drivers going for the same real estate as Core going to get involved with it.
St. Core was trying to stay low as much as possible. 24 ducks down. Menchaca comes in very quickly, almost making some contact with the 58 of Shell. And those 3 drivers got to bring out the late caution. This is going to be putting us with less than 20 laps to go. And a few drivers going with the risky call of staying out potentially here. A lot of the field, pit stop. This makes complete sense that you have to come into pit road. 4 tires and fuel. You're running about a second off of some of these drivers' best times just at the end of that run.
Yeah, I think they had to make this call if you were out there. The lap times were too slow. And I think the fire off just wasn't going to be there. But I think we've seen some strategy be taken. Kevin Thompson, 2-tire stop.
I like this call by the 6. Get ahead of Jonathan Jennings. You also take the pass over Christopher Norris and Jonathan Smith. Beautiful call by the 6 machine. The only issue, there are 5 drivers ahead of you, old tires. If you get caught behind them, you easily can fall back. But hey, pit stop's going to be made for some of those drivers that were staying out. Going to be Eric Anderson, also Campbell entering pit row. That's going to leave us with just 2 drivers that are going to be staying out. Might be more waiting for official on some of those other drivers. And yeah, it's just going to be 2 staying out of Adam Gardner and Christopher Simon. gutsy call, and this makes things even more wide open for Kevin Thompson.
Ooh, it really does. And I think for the big thing for Kevin Thompson, he will have his teammate of Adam Gardner out front. So maybe going to be able to time this restart a little bit here in that first and third position if they start on the bottom. And if you're Christopher Norris, you might be getting stuck here behind the 27 assignment.
Jonathan Jennings, we know it can be quick, but here's your race recap. If you're just joining with us, we've had 4 cautions here tonight, 6 lead changes. The weather has been perfect for tonight's race. 77 degrees is the track temp. Cold tires have been an issue for some of these restarts for drivers, but wondering who's going to be in a better spot here for this launch. Going to be a big thing to watch out for, but Zach, I mean, this race going to be a fun one to watch to the end. 20 laps to go. Going to be less when we take the green.
That it will be. And I think under that pit stop situation there, I think Jonathan Smith in the 99 sped on pit road there. So he lost his track position behind the likes of the 83. That pushes Jonathan Jennings now up into the 5th. And that puts him in a more likely position now, in my opinion, because that inside line, I think, is going to get going pretty well.
Going to get going, get well. They're also going to have the dog leg to dive down into, try to use that as an advantage. And looking at some other drivers that had to enter pit road again, Justin McMahon, his chances have fallen back. Adam Gardner going to be your leader right now with Christopher Simon, Kevin Thompson, Christopher Norris, and Jonathan Jennings, your top 5 for this restart. Top 2 of Gardner and Simon going to be on 30-lap older tires. Gardner's also dealing with some slight damage on the 56, but everyone else just came into pit road, used their final set of tires. Could be one of the last restarts. The last 2 races we've had anywhere from 5 to 6 cautions. Tonight we've had 4. Do we need another one? We do have overtime if needed. But the field knows this restart's critical. You have to get the track position. Get ahead as quickly as possible. Don't get stuck behind the older tires. And here we go. We're green. Inside row gets the launch. Simon doesn't go. Thompson gets the better launch. And the 6 is already battling for the lead on the inside.
That he is. Thompson might have made the great call here as it's 3 wide from that second row. It looks like the 38 of Christopher Norris is going to try to dive to the middle, but Jennings here with the run off the bottom. Can he stay side by side? Because they're going to be coming up on that 56, but the 6 is trying to run away.
Trying to run away is going to be Kevin Thompson, Christopher Norris, Jonathan Jennings going to be side by side. Jennings is trying to get the better launch, and you try to, oh no, Christopher Norris bounces Jennings. Norris spins it from the field. The big one strikes as drivers are still piling in, and Jennings goes from a chance to strike for a win to now out of this in a flip of a switch.
Oh no, that is not what you want to see. Jennings just taken out there by that 83. That was a lapse of judgment right there, Sam.
That was just maybe a little bit too focused on the 56 and not aware of where Jonathan Jennings was. It's going to be the next lap where we see the issue pop up for these drivers. But I mean, it was trying Christopher Norris, Jennings side by side. I think Norris just didn't want to get trapped behind another slower driver and unaware of where Jennings was at, and just blitzes immediately down in the 91 as they enter the dog leg, and in a blink of an eye, it just shoots Jennings down. And Norris, with that transition from the apron back to the racing surface, he breaks sideways in front of the field. But here's that just mad dash. Expected the 91 to go down on the dog leg, doesn't. And Norris just body slams him and then drifts in front of the field, and everyone else comes piling in.
Yeah, I think, like you said, he assumed that he was going to go lower, but it's not something you can assume. You're the car on the outside. The car on the inside determines where you can go, and that is completely 1,000% on the 83 there. That was huge last of judgment and really ruined his race and the 91s of Jennings, so he's definitely going to, I think, have to be thinking about that one.
It certainly is, and with that contact, it puts it's going to put Chris Leftwich, Nicholas Schell, Eric Warman all in pit road with required damage, as they are practically out of this race. And now it also is going to put up front Kevin Thompson in the best position possible, because all its competition is now wiped out and gone. And for the 6 machine, he's going to have a perfect wall to work with. He's got the older tires of Gardner and Simon still behind the 6 machine. And Nicholas Atwood, who we talked about needing a good run, he's got fresh rubber and he's going to be starting in 4th place here.
Atwood is going to be one to watch out for sure. I mean, and this is what he needed. You know, the point loss he had last week is definitely been a night that he needs. And with the turn of circumstances with that last wreck, there's a lot of guys that are going to end up possibly with some very, very good runs here tonight. I mean, Gardner and Simon might be able to hold on to it with these caution laps we're getting here, cool these tires down that much more and allow those two to fire off better. But if you're Atwood, you've got a shot at a win here because the 6 is on 2 tires.
On 2 tires, 15, going to be 14 laps to go when we go green. We haven't really seen what 2 tires are going to look like when we get into a decently long run. So we're curious on how Kevin Thompson's going to feel, but we do know for sure that those left side tires for Kevin Thompson around 30-ish to 40 laps older tires. So there is a little bit of wear and tear on that side, but gotta say here's that going to be interesting to see where they place themselves. Also, Jonathan Jennings getting hit with the EOL penalty with that one.
Very interesting.
I think it was a mistake on who they were giving it to. I think they believed they were going to give that to Christopher Norris, but now they actually gave it to Jennings, and they cannot reverse that. The 91 has to go to the end of the line.
Ooh, yeah, that's tough. When you give the EOL, it will not fix that. So Jennings, yeah, going to have to go to the end line with that 38, and that's going to put a bruise on his night for sure. So tough ordeal, but yeah, definitely on that 83 in my opinion. So no surprise to see him getting the EOL. But now we're going to have us a wild another restart here, Sam. The 6 of Kevin Thompson might have made the master class call here with that 2-tire strategy, but will the 19 of Atwood have something to say about it, or will others play too?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just joining us, we've had 5 cautions here tonight. It's put us in this scenario of Kevin Thompson, who took 2 tires 8 laps ago. Adam Gardner, Christopher Simon on 35-lap old tires. Rest of the field on 7 to 8 lap old tires. It's going to be 3 laps to go. And on the outside, second row, it's going to be Nicholas Atwood. Needs a perfect launch, but inside it's going to be Kevin Thompson. Thompson, best launch you could ask for. Still has the wall of older tires to protect his position as they tackle down into turn number 1, 2, 3 wide, deeper in the field.
This is so stacked up here as Thompson's trying to run away. Simon has done the master class up the second, able to get around Gardner as Gardner falls to 3rd, but Atwood still stuck in 4th. While Halsey in the 5th position is now Jonathan Smith, who had that speed penalty. He's coming back from. He's got St. Cor right there with him also.
Going to be mad, aggressive, and tackling any way they can. And Michael Hayes really gets held up with Anderson running into the outside wall off the exit of turn 2 the last lap. But up front, it's Kevin Thompson. Half a second gap lead over Simon. Atwood going to be a second back. Jonathan Jennings, Hayes side by side, but they're battling back for 9th position. It's a little bit too far back, but with 12 laps to go, anything could still happen up front as they're battling for 3rd. It's going to be the 57 of Halsey and Atwood still at each other's throats on who's going to get this position, and they're both on fresh new tires, but the fastest lap given to Kevin Thompson with a 2-tire call, still pulling away, as now it's Halsey who's the second driver who's with the freshest rubber.
What a job by Thompson with that call, but here we go. Atwood trying to hold off St. Cor, but St. Cor fighting too strong, and after a terrible mid part of the race, St. Cor here looking to possibly put himself on the podium.
One mistake for the 12. A couple of cautions giving him a chance to rebound, and now St. Cor going to be able to get by his teammate of Atwood. Atwood struggling, and probably the biggest rebound of them all, Jamie Horn. Where did the 98 come from for most of this race? Didn't even have a front bumper, was caught up in our lap 2 wreck, and now with a chance to try to climb into our top 5. What a run from Horn as he continues to fight forward, and the battle for second place is now on as Halsey's getting by Simon. The 57, that last lap was 2/10 slower than Thompson, but it's going to be his first lap to really see what speed's underneath the 57.
Don't forget, Halsey was involved in that incident with Justin McManus. It's 3 wide farther back. St. Cor in the middle with Jonathan Smith, Nicholas Atwood, and Jamie Horn as they all space out. But don't look too far behind them. Look at Jonathan Jennings back up to 9th.
Jonathan Jennings, Michael Hayes, they both have been advancing forward as quickly as they can, and talk about how Hayes was so efficient on each pass that he was making, but there may need another caution to get back into the mix. It's just the gap has grown out and ballooned to over 2.5 seconds. Wiggling, spinning, Smith back into the field, and that's gonna be right in front of Jennings and Horde, and as they continue to pile, it's gonna look like a junkyard as more drivers pile in. They aren't slowing down. And that is now going to be an extra 4 drivers with required damage, and that's a lot of favorites that are going to be sitting out of this race. Oh no, late wreck, and it ruins the night of so many drivers' recovery runs.
Oh, tough break here. Just a slight mistake from from Smith here, coming off of turn number 2, gets loose up into the track in front of Horn. From here you can see everything pile in, and just lots of cars hurt here. The 24 knocked out, 91. Multiple good contenders out of this one.
And our first disqualification of the night. If you get 17 incident points, you get disqualified. And Michael Menchaca, the 34, too many incident points, came in late, got tapped in that incident, and now he will be out of this race. Gary Armio, who I've talked about this evening, required damage. You just see those drivers just piling in. There's the contact that disqualifies the 34. And then also going to be 82 of Matthew Campbell, going to be with required damage. It's just drivers piling late with no regard of there being a wreck in front of them.
There was some good narrow misses from a few, and a few others that didn't avoid any disaster. They tried to just make it full sail through here. You can see, just too much speed, and unfortunately going to be involved in that one. That is a track covering wreck.
An absolute gridlock, and no way to avoid that one, and signs of some drivers' frustration as that was the riding along with the 7 of Armio, and that was how he got his required damage. Still out on track for the 7. And hoping to get an advantage, or at least stay ahead of some of the drivers that had to go into pit road, and now going to be having to enter pit road this go around. Some drivers that have already left the session. Again, Michael Menchaca disqualified from the race. Jamie Horn, who we just praised about what a recovery run, he's now out of the race. And the field up front, this now puts Kevin Thompson in an awkward position because his wall of older tires that gave him over a 1.5-second gap lead is diminished and gone as the laps tick away. We're looking to be inside the regulation, probably a green-white checker to a 3-lap shootout that we're going to be entering here for the end of this race.
Ooh, this is exciting, man, because now you got St. Core up here also with Halsey and Atwood again. They're still in 4th. Hayes has made his way into 5th. Anderson up to 6th, and somehow the 83 Christopher Norris, after his latest incident, was able to make it through that wreck. There is, you have Gary Armio. I mean, there's a lot of drivers here that have shots and things, and we've seen on these restarts before, they get very, very wild, and anything can happen here. We just seen pretty much a track covering wreck. If something happens up front, someone sitting back here in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th could possibly be in the position to win it, even with a destroyed race car.
We got Raymond out in the chat. Yeah, it was not the night for Street Limit for this evening. We hope for you guys to have a good run next week. Next week, the drivers head to the 2-mile course of Auto Club. Loving some of the 3-wide, 4-wide racing through the dog leg. Well, you're going to be seeing a lot of it next week as the drivers get prepared for the Shoney's 200. It's going to be a fun one to watch, but we first got to conclude tonight. It's going to be a 3-lap shootout. We do have overtime if we need caution before the white flag. Zach, any final thoughts before we take what could be the final restart of the evening?
Well, I tell you what, hold on to your seats, folks, because it's about to get very wild. I think this dog leg is about to be very much used up, and all of these drivers are going to use every bit of grip left in these cars. All
the fresh tires, they are being used up. It's all about victory lane. A 3-lap shootout. Kevin Thompson took 2 tires. The rest of the field took 4 as we are back to green flag racing, and it's going to be the Twisted Axle teammates gone. Great restart for the both of them. That's going to be seen. Kevin Thompson, St. Core are going to be on top of one another. Halsey did not get going, but it gave an opportunity for Michael Hayes. Oh no, Halsey going to be down on the apron, giving an opening for Christopher Norris to go down low. Hayes and Norris battle back for 3rd place, but up front, Kevin Thompson pulling away.
What a wild scene there as Halsey goes sideways on that entry, but he held it together, and they were almost 4 wide there for a moment. As the 83 now, Christopher Norris to the inside of Hayes as they're wrecking farther back here. We stay green and stay out front.
Adam Gardner no longer going to be having oncoming traffic, so we continue to stay green. No caution flag going to be thrown. Issues spark up, and it's going to be Justin McMahon, Halsey, couple of others piling in late, as it looks to be contact between Michael Hayes and Atwood on the entry of the corner.
Wow, this is setting up some interesting factors here as we go back and look and see how this played out. Look at this McMahon on the no bumper here as Atwood comes in and just going to clip that 22's bumper, get him around. The 24 has nowhere to go. The 51 comes in there. A lot of people coming in late here getting some heavy hits.
Heavy hits. Joe McKnight can be with required damage. Justin McMahon required damage. And here's McKnight, how he grabbed his damage coming into this battle, and just a small clip. That's how Adam Gardner goes around. We thought was going to bring out the yellow, but it didn't. Instead, it was in front of this group as they spin in front. Oh, never mind. We're going to see McMahon drops down into Joe McKnight. That's how he grabbed his damage, as bouncing around on the cameras for us there on that incident. And that's going to bring out, putting us into overtime for this field. And Zach, like it's been all season long, this will be our final restart of the night. These drivers only get 1 attempt at overtime.
1 attempt here, Sam, and this is set up a very interesting one for sure, because now teammates who once restarted first and third are now going to restart on that front row with the likes of that 83 Christopher Norris. I'm very interested to see where does the 6 place himself in this restart, or which lane to restart in, because it's going to be a huge decision. And I even look at someone like a Jonathan Jennings back in the 7th with no front end. There's a couple of things that are very interesting in this playout, how this is going to work.
Where do you place yourself on this restart as the field getting ready for the launch? Again, this is going to be our one and only attempt at overtime, as these drivers will have 2 laps to finish out this race. If we make it to the last lap to the white flag, this race will conclude under green flag conditions. But if we get a caution flag under our first lap, these drivers will end under yellow. I know a lot of these drivers would love to finish this race under green. Gives the best opportunities for the best finish we can see. And Kevin Thompson has been getting the restarts that have been perfect to go for. But if we get that caution early, Thompson's probably got this race sealed up. The only way he's losing it, I got a feeling here, Zach, is if we get to that white flag.
I think so too. I think this is going to be tough. Thompson has been doing such a good job on those 2 tires, just taking off and getting a good restart to be far enough out there where there's no worries. I think right here, what's going to go down, if I picture it in my mind right, they got their teammate in 4th, and Nicholas Atwood also here for Twisted Axle. The 6 is going to take this outside line here. He's going to, so to say, time this restart here with his teammates, and they're going to try to take advantage of that here and try to get top 3, 1, 2, 3 out of this. So I think Thompson here, as he is already kind of showing the signs of outside here, I think electing to do that strategy, Sam.
Setting up for this restart, 6 going to take the outside, like you said, Zach. It's a great strategy call, teamwork-wise, on where do you want to place yourself as we get ourselves ready for this restart. Lights are off. We're going this time by. Do you want to give our last final call to our race sponsor? That's Engine 4 Coffee. Go help out by supporting first responders, a firefighter led company of Engine 4 Coffee. And if you go use the promo code that I just put down in chat, you can get 10% off on your next purchase. You're watching the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series Race 5 here at Phoenix. Kevin Thompson trying to grab his 2nd win of the season, as well as seeing Andrew St. George hoping to grab his 1st win of the season. Christopher Norris trying to hope for a good run. The 51 of Joe McKnight is having some issues back there for himself. It looked to be kind of similar to what just happened to Chris Leftwich, and that will not delay the start. We're going this time by. As we enter the restart zone, this is it. Who's winning the Engine 4 Coffee 135? As it's going to be a great launch for Kevin Thompson. St. Cour going to be trying to stick to his inside. Christopher Norris bouncing all the way down to the inside row, trying to get below Atwood. He'll do so. Kevin Thompson's got the nose ahead, but St. Cour is trying to get to the outside as they exit at turn 2. They're all goal. Get to the white flag.
Here we go. Thompson looking for that white flag, same as they go into one, but Cour driving in deep.
St. Cour going to be blocking Christopher Norris from a chance to go for that inside row. Christopher Norris is going to dive all the way down on the inside, trying to get side by side with the 12. Kevin Thompson loving the battle for second as we have the white flag. This race is official. Thompson's got the space. St. Cour's not close enough. The 12 is going to have one more opportunity to get to that back bumper, but the gap is 3/10, 4/10. Atwood spins in front of the field, goes back. It's going to be mayhem on the backstretch, but for Kevin Thompson, he's got to hold on. Exit of the corner. The 6 will win once again here this season. His second one for the Engine 4 Coffee 135.
What a drive from him. That 2-tire call, we got to go back to that one where he got ahead of this 83. That was the call of the night. And man, what a job to drive there. He did an excellent job.
Absolute mayhem on the backstretch. Atwood falling from 4th to 13th and collecting a few that were hoping for a good finish. And the driver that takes the advantage, Jonathan Jennings, bounces from 13th up to 5th. What a recovery run. To take a look at some of the drivers and the mess that happened on the backstretch that gave a chance for a few drivers to get through all the chaos and just cars scattered everywhere. As Wilkerson also not able to get through that mess. He'll fall for 14th. What a mess. But the win goes to the 6 of Kevin Thompson. The 2-tire call was perfect as he'll take that advantage for himself. But for us, what a run. When we come back, we'll talk to our top 3 and a spotlight driver for tonight's race. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, Season 1 for 2024, Race 5. The Engine 4 Coffee 135 is in the books, and your winner going to be the sixth machine of Kevin Thompson, getting the gold, and the strategy call was perfect. Going with the two-tire stop, given the track position. Kevin, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Congratulations on your second win of the season. How are you feeling after that perfection of teamwork to get into victory lane?
Excited. My best finish here, my first win here. Average around 10th place, or if I get in a wreck, I'm not. I don't like this track, but I'll take it.
Definitely going to take that, Kevin. I tell you what, man, congrats on the win. It looks super tough to pass out tonight, even when people had tire differences. Take us through how tough it was to make those decisions to come down to pit road sometime.
Yeah, I knew if the race was against Jonathan, to get past Jonathan, it was going to be hard. I had to race him hard, take him 3 wide, dog leg, just to stay in front of him and make it hard on him to race through the pack towards me. But at that last pit stop, I took 2 tires, and I knew if I was in front of Jonathan, it was going to be hard. So
I mean, you were able to hold off Jonathan. It was a great duel to watch between you guys there late in the race. We're now going to be heading to Auto Club next week. What's the feeling of heading towards that track?
oh, it's great. The team's been working on a setup. We've been on a roll here, and we're just gonna keep on coming and keep on racing really hard.
We can't wait to see how you guys perform. Before we let you go, Kevin, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Shout out to my teammates at Twisted Axle and all their family members. This one goes to them. Um, the my family watches every week for y'all putting on an awesome broadcast. I mean, like top notch broadcast each week, and Daniel for putting us on the league.
Well, that will be the sixth machine of Kevin Thompson coming away with the victory here tonight for the Engine 4 Coffee 135. Congratulations, Kevin. Enjoy this one, and good luck at Auto Club next week.
Thank you.
As we move from victory lane, we go down to second place and just go move from one twisted axle driver to the next. We've got the 12 machine of Andrew St. Cour with us. Andrew, what a run for yourself. You've had to battle through adversity. There were a couple of wrecks that you were around or got caught up in, and then you come away with second place here tonight. How are you feeling for yourself and your performance to get second?
Very fortunate, especially with the way the evening went. Lots of chaos for sure, and put myself in a kind of a tough situation, just getting caught up with lap traffic early on behind Jennings. Then got frustrated a little bit and kind of burnt my tires up and really kind of just fell back. And then really kind of got myself in trouble from there, just kind of falling back in the pack where that's where all the chaos happens in Phoenix for sure. You want to be out front, kind of stay out front. So
Definitely want to stay up front for sure, Andrew, and good to see you finish up front for sure, man. And you talked about a little bit about the lap traffic, just being behind Jennings. It seemed very tough not only to follow tonight, but also to pass if you tried to make it. So take us through that situation, because it seemed like whoever could get out in front of each other, especially with this top few guys, it was really going to be the important factor.
oh, absolutely. I mean, that was qualifying's key. I didn't hit the qual lap that I was hoping that I was hitting through practice and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I got second. I started second, so it was a good starting position. Obviously, you can't complain about that. But and I felt like I had the pace to keep with Jennings, and I was kind of playing around between fourth and fifth gear, going down into one. And when I was running fourth gear to kind of save right front, um, I would he would kind of pull like a tenth on me every lap or two, and then I would put it up into fifth and be able to go in a little deeper and kind of get a tenth back. And we were kind of doing that for a while, and then we were hovering right around the 9/10 1 second off of them, and I felt good with that. I felt like long run I was going to be fine. I don't know whether I would have got him or not. And once again, to your point, I might have got to him, but how would I get by him, right? But then when we got into the lap traffic, it's just so difficult. Like going into one, you would try to shoot under somebody, and unless they full lift and let you go, which they're not obligated to do, it's racing. And but you just couldn't get the drive off. You couldn't get on throttle hard enough, and Yeah, so that was tough. And anyway, but yeah, it ended up working out for us. So I was really proud of Kev to come up with the win, and really excited for the team.
I mean, talking about the team wise, Andrew, we asked Kevin how he's feeling about Auto Club, saying the team feels pretty confident. You guys have been working on a setup for next week. How is it knowing that you're setting up for next week and then you've got a 2-week break before you're back into the season?
Yeah, excited about Auto Club. Unfortunately, it's I wish the break was the following week, because I'm going to miss the next 2 weeks. But so I guess I'm only going to miss one race. Just wait for spring vacation with my wife. And but Auto Club has been a track traditionally that Twisted Axle we've been pretty solid at. So we're hoping similar this time. So yeah, I'm going to help Kev this week before I take off, and help the team try to get some finishing touches on the set for next week, and hopefully they can have a strong showing next week. But I'll try to keep tabs on the race while I'm away.
Well, we're going to miss you next week, Andrew. But before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, thanks guys for the great broadcast, Daniel, the rest of the league. Honestly, we wouldn't be as strong as we are each week without the great teammates that I have. A lot of great work with the Twisted Axle team. BMP, Beast Mode Performance, a lot of our setups, that's where we get them from, and they help us out a lot. So got to thank them as well. So thank you very much.
Well, that will be your second place finisher in the 12 machine of Andrew St. Cour. Congratulations on this finish. Enjoy it, and we'll see you in 3 weeks when we head to Bristol.
Take care.
Well, as we move from second place, we go down to third, where we get to talk to the 83 machine of Christopher Norris. At one moment, had some highs, had some low moments, but comes away with third place. Christopher, part of the Freaky Fast crew, being our social media guy, but out there on track. How are you feeling after tonight's roller coaster of a night?
Well, nothing else I should do aside from one thing real quick is apologize to Jennings. That was completely my fault. I was completely unaware, and there's no excuse for that. I cut the dog leg more than I thought he would. Well, less than I thought he would, but he didn't cut as much as I wanted him to, and he cut as much as he wanted him to. And he was in control of that spot, in control of that lane in that area. So that's completely my fault, and it was my fault for just cutting him down. So I apologize for ruining his race, as we could have both finished pretty well and probably passed Kevin Thompson with his 2-tire call, because 30 lap old left side's on it that great. But just want to apologize to Jennings. That was completely awful on my end. But aside from that, pretty interesting race. Iowa, we showed some speed. Blew my right rear basically. Didn't actually, but the temperatures were awful, which made it feel like it. So definitely a great come around. Glad we got a good 1 hour setup in and got it built quickly, and got it built pretty quickly, quick on track as well. Made a huge call on pit road thanks to my crew chief. He did an awesome job putting the strategy together, and getting us out into the lead when it mattered the most. So that was definitely an amazing call, and kind of wish we could hold on to a little bit longer.
Definitely was looking very strong out front there, Christopher. Definitely unfortunate scenes there with you and Jennings, but that is racing sometimes in the end of the day. So, going back to that call by the crew chief there to get yourself out front, get the clean air. We seen you kind of fall back at the start of the race. Did y'all work on that car at all, or did you kind of leave it the same, and the clean air really is what kind of was the key?
Yeah, so myself, I'm pretty new with setups. I mean, that's why it's 60-minute setups, because we're building setups within an hour. Like whatever we can build in an hour is whatever we got. So it's pretty nice to have that be this quick so far. So I mean, we might drop back here in a few weeks. You never know. It depends on the track. But yeah, we made a in-race change. I believe I was talking to my crew chief. I think we took out air on the right rear or added air. Honestly, I don't know. I just let him do his thing during the race because he knows what he's doing. Like, he has a small data sheet that we worked up, so he knows what he's doing. I'm driving. That's how it should be anyway. So we definitely did something to the tires, and it worked out for us. It definitely made it looser because we were extremely tight at the beginning. Not like super, super tight, but tight enough where I just couldn't get exits, but still wasn't that fast, but I could only tell competitive for 20 laps. So 20 lap older tires compared to new tires, I think we kind of equaled out and would gained our speed back.
You certainly did there, Christopher. Want to say congratulations on the recovery to third. But before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Of course, once again, I want to apologize to Jennings. I hate it for him because he's the dominant guy in this league. But shout out to my crew chief, Leo Yingling. He makes cars go fast and helps me keep me calm and smooth during the race. And basically to my setups, 60-minute setups. So we got 60-minute setups and got 60 seconds of fame. So that's always pretty cool. Shout out to you guys for the amazing job you guys do. Shout out to the lead for putting on this great show. So lids, customlids.com. Do it yourself a custom hat if you're interested. And also to my parents, I know they're downstairs watching. Hopefully they won't too disappointed in me. So hopefully no disappointment in the family, but we'll see.
Well, top 3 finish is still pretty good. Congratulations, Norris, on that finish. And good luck next week at Auto Club.
Thank you.
As we move from 3rd place, we go down to 9th place to our spotlight driver. That will be the 27 machine of Christopher Simon. Christopher, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth, coming away with a top 10 finish here tonight. I know you had some gutsy calls throughout the evening on tire strategies, but you come away with a top 10 finish and the second biggest mover of the night. How are you feeling with your performance here this evening?
To be honest, I'm really shocked because most of the race I've been running in the back, like in the 20s. It's like, but the strategy really paid off for us in the end. But at one of the last laps, one of my teammates called out I should get our fresher tires compared to the rest of the field. So I did that, and I restarted 9th or 10th, and that went pretty good until the last few laps where the 19 kind of made a mistake there, got loose out in the turn, and collected me in the 43.
Yeah, it just seemed like that was just an unfortunate scene there for you, like you said, Christopher. But man, when you were on those older tires before you took your final set there, how tough was it trying to hold off those fresh tires behind?
It was pretty tough. Like, if it weren't for those cautions or crashes behind me, it would have been really hard with those hard charging freshy tires.
I mean, Christopher, this is your first top 10 finish of this season. We're heading to Auto Club next, and then we have a 2-week break before we go to Bristol, Texas, and Richmond. What is the confidence level with finally getting this top 10 finish and moving forward into this season?
It's pretty good. It gives me good momentum for the next race next week. Auto Club is not really my best track, but I'll be sure to practice there with my teammate. Hopefully, his father will be back there next week. So, yeah, I'll be prepared for Auto Club that week. And Bristol, I'm more looking forward to because it's one of my favorite tracks. But I just need to know how not to wreck out earlier last time.
Well, we're hoping that your luck starts to swing after tonight's performance. Christopher, congratulations on a top 10 finish and the second biggest mover of the night. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
I want to shout out my family watching. I'm not sure if they're still watching after that, but if they are, I want to shout out to them. I want to shout out my team, Shoney's Racing. They're really good. Unfortunately, one of my teammates had a little issue during the caution, so he could have been running up there with us. And I want to shout out you guys for the broadcast. Really good broadcast you guys are doing. And also shout out to Daniel and all the admins for this league because it's been really competitive this season, way more than any other season. So it's always fun to be racing with you guys.
Well, it helps when you guys put on a great show for us to cover. Congratulations on a 9th place finish, Christopher. Enjoy it, and good luck next week at Auto Club.
Thank you.
Well, as we move away from our drivers' interviews, we get prepared to take a look at our unofficial results. A huge swing from everyone from around 5th on back as a massive collision of drivers on the backstretch just wiped everyone out, with Eric Anderson and a few other drivers being spun around. But victory goes to the 6 of Kevin Thompson. As we take a look at our unofficial results, the 6 machine really had to work his way through some great strategy calls and also had to defend his teammates that were behind him, with Andrew St. Cyr going to come away with 2nd. Christopher Norris recovers for 3rd. Michael Hayes able to advance his way up to 4th. Jonathan Jennings 5th. 6th goes to David Halsey. Adam Gardner 7th. 8th is Jonathan Smith. 9th goes to Christopher Simon. And Nick Lachelle will finish out our top 10. I mean, Zach, like I said, 4th, 5th on back. That is completely different from where they were running coming across that white flag.
The positions for really from 11th on back as we looked at the rest of them, they changed on that last lap more than I think I've seen a lot of last laps change. And look, that was almost super speedway-esque with how much change there was, and that was mainly due to that wreck there. And it's crazy because only 14 cars were on the lead lap here. Leo Kovalets was that first car lap down 15th. It still had changes a few with the lap cars because of that wreck. So it had effects all throughout the field as two guys that the farther down here on the list definitely going to be coming out here tonight, hoping for a better run when we head to Auto Club next week. So different track, bigger style, just completely different thing. I think a lot of guys are going to be glad to get out of Phoenix that were farther down.
They certainly will be, and for us, tonight's going to be finishing off our week of Phoenix, as we had 3 different Phoenix races. 2 of them were at Legacy, and tonight was back at the traditional modern-day Phoenix. But next week, going to be 4 races for us to cover, and next week going to be our last 4 races to cover for a little bit. We're going to have a couple of races on that last week of March. The drivers are going to be taking that week off. But for next week, we've got the ISRC Truck Series on Monday, the BRB Cup Series starting their chase playoffs. Then we continue a new round on Wednesday with the WSSR of the round of 11. And here tonight, next week, drivers test out Auto Club, who is going to be surviving the 2-mile course. I mean, you just heard it from the drivers. The competitiveness has ramped up more on Thursday nights. I gotta say, from our perspective, this has been some of the funnest racing to watch. Open setups are fun to watch, Zach, on those different strategies.
I love it. I'm just be playing out simple. I think it sets up comers and goers, man. It really does when you have differences in speed throughout the field, and I would say larger amount of different speed just due to the setup window you can have. It creates those opportunities where you have guys like a Jonathan Jennings that you could put back in 25th, and the speed he has, he can get up into that top 10, top 15 area, but then he's starting to find the guys that have those little bit better tweak setups and have that little bit better feel, and it starts to get tougher and tougher as you get throughout the field. But it really just sets up for not only, like you said, strategies, but just a ton of different changing dynamic elements throughout the race, even people working on their cars, making them better. It's just a whole thing that I think really adds a perfect twist to it.
It really does. And tonight, with Jonathan Jennings getting his 2nd win of the season, becomes the 2nd driver to have 2 wins, tied himself with Jonathan Jennings, and looks to be the duel. Twisted Axle against Jonathan Jennings. It's been a fun duel to watch here. 5 races in, but who will step up for race number 6 next week at Auto Club? Can't wait for it. But for tonight, thank you so much to everyone that's still watching with us or watched through at some point this evening. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, for Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining with us on your Thursday night. Enjoy your weekend, and we will see you Monday night for our next Freaky Fast broadcast, the ISRC Truck Series. Who will continue on as they enter the halfway zone of their season? It's going to be a fun one in our next Freaky Fast broadcast.